Hey everybody, what's going on? I'm Power, and on this episode, I want to talk to you about sleep apnea, having a Cpap machine, and being a carnivore, and what that has done. So, from 2017 and around 10 years back, I was diagnosed with sleep apnea. But I think I've had it most of my life without being diagnosed, without having it on piece of paper. But when I look back at the symptoms, how my life has been, I'm pretty sure I've had it just about all my life. And one of the things is my mom told me that she was extra worried about me when I was, I don't know, like if I was a kid, but at least a teenager. Because not only that I had asthma and allergies, but she also told me that a couple of times she would wake up in the middle of the night and she didn't hear me breathe. So she would wake up, didn't hear anything from my room. She would lay there and listen, and then she would hear me like start breathing again. And she went back to bed because she didn't know. Nobody in my family tree has ever talked about or have had asthma, allergies, or sleep apnea. So I'm the first one. So I didn't have anybody to talk to. I didn't have anybody to, get information from, like talk back and forth what to do and how to live my life and all that shit. So it's been a trial and error for me all my fucking life on how to live with these, I call them handicaps, with these sickness and diseases, call it whatever the fuck you want. I call it handicap. So looking back at that, my mom told me that, and that's one of the symptoms when you have sleep apnea, is you stop breathing. You hold your breath. Then you stop breathing again. Then you hold your breath, start breathing, hold your breath, and that goes on to the rest of the night. And as I remember it growing up, there was a part of my life when I look back at it, I start looking at it like, oh yeah, that time there and that time there. Okay, yeah, I'm starting to see the pattern about what the hell is going on here. As a kid, I had all the energy in the world. I was up very early when I watched cartoons and all of that, like every normal kid except my asthma. But as I grew older, I started to get more and more tired. And most of you could probably, that's a typical teenager. Every teenager is school tired of school, tired all the time. They want to sleep all the time. That's just being a teenager. But no, I don't think it is actually. So there I was, having trouble waking up in the morning. There were even some times where I don't remember my mom coming into my room and waking me up. I didn't hear the alarm clock. I didn't hear her wake up. So I would wake up like, what? What's going on? What's happening? And my mom would be furious at me. She wanted almost to kill me. Not really, but very angry at me and wondering why the hell I didn't get up and go to school. And at that time, the clock was like 11, 12. So I missed like half a day at school. And I don't remember it. I remember going to sleep. It was all black and waking up by from myself, not alarm clock, nothing, like just waking up because I've slept enough. And I went to bed like I'm supposed to. So it wasn't like I was doing an all-nighter and then I only got like 3 hours of sleep. No, I went to bed like I was supposed to do to get enough sleep so that I could wake up. But no, that didn't happen. And I was tired all the time. And then as I got older, was done with school, now I'm an adult. It happened so many times and it happened so often that I was starting to think maybe I'm a narcoleptic. Because I didn't know about sleep apnea, but I've heard and seen, people being this narcoleptic, I think it's called. I think that's the right word. Anywho, people falling asleep anywhere, everywhere, at any time. It's like a sickness. They can't help it. They could be like sitting here talking and all of a sudden, and then up again, and not gonna happen. Like a reset button. And something like that happened to me like all the time. So I started to think that maybe I'm narcoleptic. What the hell am I supposed to do with it? How am I supposed to handle it? And yeah, it was like a real pain in the ass sometimes. It was so bad. I came home from work, like everybody else, working full time, coming home, switching clothes, taking your work clothes off, putting on something, like sweatpants and a t-shirt, whatever, making food. I was single at the time, living alone, made something quick to eat, sat down, watched some TV, had my dinner, feeling like tired. And the first thought was like, well, I had a rough day. There was a lot of shit to do at work. I had a big meal. So, all these puzzles, get together and like, that's why I'm tired. Okay. I'm just gonna take a little quick nap, like a power nap, because I want to go to the gym today. Shit is going good. My life is good, Nothing to complain about, really. Feeling okay, except for my asthma and allergies. So, made myself comfortable in the sofa, went to sleep, woke up, looked at my phone, and I had about 3 hours to go before it was time to wake up and go to work. Because I always set the clock to I think I had to be at work at 7, so I went up 6, 5:30, something like that. So I fell asleep on the couch from let's say 5, maybe 6 o'clock in the evening, all the way up to 2, maybe 3 in the morning. So I was literally getting up from the couch to go to bed, to sleep for a couple hours, then getting up again and had to go to work. And that happened more than once. it happened so many times that I actually took my phone, went to the time, to the clock, put in a new alarm, and set it time to go to bed. So I had 2 alarms on my phone. So if I ever fell asleep on the couch at home, one alarm clock would go off saying it's time to go to bed. So if I went to bed, then I would have, like 6 or 7 hours to sleep in my bed. It was more comfortable than sleeping on a couch. And then the normal clock, like time to go up, time to go to work, like 6 in the morning. That's how fucking bad it was. I don't know anybody that had 2 alarm clocks and one of them said time to go to bed. So that was a part of my life. Not only that, but also it happened almost on a regular basis. It didn't matter at what time I went to bed. It didn't matter how many hours of sleep I got, so to speak. Let's say I went to bed and I'm going to go to bed at this hour, so I'm going to get 10 hours of sleep. It didn't matter. I was still tired when I woke up. I still fall asleep riding a bus, riding a train. Try to have like a 10-20 minute nap at work. I'm just gonna go to the bathroom. Been there for 10 minutes, took a quick nap, then got back again, did my shit. All the time. Every day some shit like happened there. And when the weekend came along, I was out, driving with my buddy. Lucky I wasn't driving, but my buddy was driving, picked me up, we were going somewhere. Either just driving around or going somewhere to look at something or pick something up, whatever it was like a Saturday. Let's go for a drive, let's go to that city or that town. I would fall asleep. Going to work, I could fall asleep. It happened a couple of times. Even when I was in school, it happened that I fell asleep on the bus. So I missed my stop. When I woke up, got off the bus, either had to take a bus to go like 20 minutes back to the school, or I went off the bus and had to walk. So I would be late for school. I would be late for work because I would miss my stop. Same shit with trains, because I worked in another country at one point. I live in Sweden and I worked in Denmark. So I was commuting, so I was going by train across the bridge every single day, and sometimes I even worked the weekends. And at that time I actually had to take 2 trains. One train from my home to Copenhagen Central train station. From there, took another train. It was like another 20 to 30 minutes. Walked for 5-10 minutes to my workplace. Same shit when it's time to get home. And I would fall asleep. And I was, first started thinking that, oh yeah, I'm having a rough day. I've been doing a lot. Maybe I haven't been eating enough. It's been a rough week. Haven't been sleeping enough. All these normal, natural, when you start thinking about, well, what's wrong? Why is it like that? Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. Pointing to this and that. That's logical. Oh, that's normal. Everybody's like that. Oh, yeah. And I also was snoring very loud all through the night. And that actually cost me a relationship or two, because my girlfriend at the time, complained about it. So I went to the doctor and I told her, I think it was her, whatever, I told the doctor all of this symptoms, that this has happened for quite a few years, this and that, and this is something with my nose, something with my throat, what's going on? I feel tired all the time, and I'm eating vitamins and I'm eating fruit and vegetables, try to go to the gym, trying to live healthy. I'm not an alcoholic, I'm not a drug addict, so I only drink like on the weekends. I don't party every weekend, nothing like that at all. I'm living a clean, good, normal life. So the doctor did like a standard normal checkup, listening to my lungs and heart and, everything. Just a standard routine. And I also told him, well, I have asthma and allergies, so I know that some periods of the year, some seasons, I am like half past dead because of the pollen and the hay fever and all of that shit. And the doctor, said to me that normally I would be scheduled for an operation. So they would do an operation, I think it's back of my throat or something like that, because they thought that was the root cause. Why people were snoring and, having trouble sleeping. It was just snoring that was the problem. But then they told me, you could have sleep apnea. And I couldn't even spell the words, so I didn't know what the hell that was. So the doctor said, well, instead of scheduling an operation for you, I want you to go to this clinic. It's kind of a sleep clinic. I'll book an appointment for you. You're gonna go there, you're gonna sleep there, and they're gonna monitor you. And, we'll go from there. So, okay. I did that. I went there, got, a bunch of papers that you would fill in, how tall are you, how much do you weigh? And at that time, I was a heavyweight. I was like 110, 111 kilos. So yeah, I looked like I was like almost like 7 or 8 months pregnant at that time. It's the heaviest I've ever been in my life. So that was a part of the problem, because I was so overweight and my stomach was so big that the weight was weighing down on my lungs and on my throat when I was sleeping. That was one of the problems. Then, starting, filling out this form, so to speak. Well, how much alcohol do you consume in a week or a month? Do you smoke? Yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Just almost like my whole life was like, blah, 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 blah. So they looked at that information, went into a room, and and then they hooked me up to all kinds of stuff. Hooked me up like all over my head, and I think all over my chest. They were monitoring my heart and my lungs and then my brain activities and all that. And I had a camera on me. So funny enough, as I was laying there going to sleep, all I could think about, I hope I don't have a wet dream, because that would be embarrassing, getting a boner and they was watching me. Luckily, that never happened. I slept like I used to sleep. Woke, and they came in, they woke me up. I was tired as hell. And they say, oh yeah, we're done. You can go home now. We'll contact you when we look at the results of what's going on and what we're going to do about it. Okay. So, now I'm at the doctor's office, looking at the stuff, going through, and they said, yeah, you have sleep apnea. Okay, what's that? That means that you stop breathing every now and again. So you stop, you hold your breath, you start to breathe, you hold your breath, you start to breathe, and it goes like that all through the night. So that means that when you go to sleep, you're supposed to go down to deep sleep, to REM sleep, then up again and then down. That's you know, like the baseline of a good night's sleep, up and down, up and down. But for me, I would go to sleep, down to deep sleep, and then at some point I would stop breathing. I would hold my breath. When I was there doing that sleep over, so to speak, I slept there, they watched me with the camera and all that thingamabob on me, hooked up to the machine. They registered, I think it was like 40 times in one night. So 40 times in, let's say, 7 hours of sleep, I would hold my breath. So my brain was like going like ding dong ding 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 ding, going down sleep and then up and then down. So I would never go to deep sleep. So I never got a good night's sleep. And that has probably been a part of my life ever since I was a teenager. Now I got the diagnosis. So now here's a Cpap machine. And that machine, my machine was at level 4. I don't know what that means, but the highest I think was 10 or maybe 9, and I was at a 4. So you start the machine, and you had this mask, and air came through a hose into your mouth and nose, and it would pump in air. As long as it was turned on, then it would be, if at any time, because the machine was, as it was set on 4, when I stopped breathing, after a certain time, it would register that there was some pressure points or something like that. It just knew somehow when it was time. So when I stopped breathing, it would actually increase the airflow from going to a normal flow to like double or maybe even triple the airflow. So it would force air into my lungs. So that was very uncomfortable at the beginning. I mean, it took like, I think it was like 2 weeks for me to, get get comfortable with that, because I've never had that experience before. Like having a machine, the machine was quiet, so that was not a problem. But having air, almost like you're in a car, you roll down a window, you're driving, you stick your head out the window. But once I got used to it, once it was a part of me, so to speak, it was like, pun intended, like day and night difference. Because when I use it, I actually got a good night's sleep. I would wake up feeling normal, feeling rested, feeling like I had energy to go and do stuff the next day. So there was a significant difference between how my life was before and then when I had a Cpap machine. So I started using that on like every day. But then sometimes it could be a hassle, could be a pain in the ass sometimes, because you had to start it up and then you had to, fiddle around with the mask, put it on, strap it in, and all of that shit. And sometimes I would be drunk, coming home, being out clubbing, bar hopping. Didn't bother with it, just went to bed. Sometimes, I was so tired, especially if I've fallen asleep on the couch. Just, I can't bother with that, just go to sleep. So that would have the, opposite effect when I woke up the next day. Like, yeah, I fucked up. I know I should have used a machine. Should have been sleeping with the Cpap. But for the most part, I used it every single day. And when I am using it, that also reduced my snoring. So that was also a good thing. So I've had that for about, I think, 10 years. Like I said, from 2017 and 10 years back in time. At the end of 2017, started the Carnivore diet. First 2 months, I started in November, December, something like that. Takes a bit of time for the body, to get used to eating like that, and the transition. And I was also switching it up, going from eating every 3 hours to just eating 1 to 2 meals a day. Doing the intermittent fasting. Never done that before. That was the first time in my life that I've done intermittent fasting. And I do that between 16 to 18 hours. So that was something new. And then it's also new that I just eat meat and eggs, nothing else. But for 30 plus years, I've been eating everything, like everybody else has done. Have a bit of salad, have a bit of fruit, have these vegetables, starch, fiber. I've never been a coffee man, so I never drank coffee. But, everything else, doing that triangle shit, doing that food plate. It's supposed to be equal amounts, this many grams of that, and blah, 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 yakety, yakety. So I said, fuck that shit. Started a Carnivore. Ate meat and eggs, nothing else. Absolutely nothing else. About 2 months into 2018, since I started in December 2017, still had, even though I went down from 110, 112, something like that kilos, down to 90, what was it, 98, 97, still had the Cpap machine, still had sleep apnea, even though I lost weight. And the doctor told me, well, if you lose weight, that's going to help you because that's a part of the problem. Was going to the gym. Except when I was sick and then going back and forth and all of that shit. But trying to go to the gym, losing weight, trying to eat healthy, eating plants, eating starch, carbs, fiber. still had sleep apnea, still using a Cpap machine when they go to sleep. Turned that shit around, stopped eating that poison, stopped eating that toxic shit. I didn't expect it, didn't know anything about it, never heard anything about this shit. That was it. Didn't think anything else that it would help me in any way, shape, or form. All of a sudden, went to bed one night, pressed the button on the machine, put the mask on, laid down, felt the air come in, trying to relax, get comfortable with it. And let's face it, 10 years, you know what I knew what I was doing. I've been doing it for so long. It's become a part of me. It's natural. But all of a sudden, no. All of a sudden, I got a kind of a mild panic attack. Feeling uncomfortable. Couldn't relax. Couldn't go to sleep with the mask on, with the air pumping into my mouth and lungs. And the machine wasn't like on high alert. It was like in the beginning, you know, soft air, just normal. It was set on normal. So I was used to it, but all of a sudden, no, it didn't work. So I was laying there tossing and turning, trying to relax, trying to, you know, breathe, take deep breath, talking to myself, you know, it's okay, just go to sleep, no problem, it's okay. It didn't work. The feeling wouldn't go away, it was uncomfortable. The kind of panic attack that I felt. So I pressed the stop button, took the mask off, sitting at the edge of my bed. Like, what the fuck am I gonna do? I need to get up in a couple of hours, so I need to go to sleep now. I can't remember what I was gonna do, but I need to, you know, had a timer set. The clock is going to ring, the alarm clock. But if I don't use the machine, I'm going to have a hard time waking up, and my day is going to be fucked because I'm going to be like a zombie all the damn day. But I decided I still need sleep, so I'm going to sleep. Fuck the machine. Whatever's gonna happen, happen. I went to sleep. The clock went off. I woke up feeling okay. And that was surprising to me because the only time that I felt okay waking up was when I was using the machine. So now I woke up without the machine. I was feeling okay. I had no problem waking up. The whole day was okay. Didn't feel tired. Didn't fall asleep. So I was like, well, fuck. Nah. That could happen to anybody. That was just a fluke. That was like a 1 in a million. Next night, same thing again. In bed, mask on, machine on, couldn't relax. Said fuck it. Turned off the machine, take off the mask, went to sleep. Woke up the next day, no problem. I think I did that about 3 days, maybe 4 days in a row. With the same result. Woke up, no problem. Went on with the day, no problem. And then I was like, okay, fuck this shit. I'm going to bed. I'm not even going through the hassle of the machine. I'm just gonna go to bed, go to sleep, wake up, let's see. Maybe I'm having a good week. Maybe I'm gonna win the lottery. Some shit like that. And that was 2 years ago. So, a couple of months in to 2018, that happened. And from that day on, all the way up to this day, it's January 2020. I have not used a Cpap machine once in 2 years. And that's a fact. So, by taking away the poison and the toxic that is the fruit, the vegetables, the starch, the sugar, I've gotten rid of my sleep apnea. Or at least it's become so mild that I don't have to use the machine. Not once in 2 fucking years have I had to use the machine to be able to go to sleep and then wake up and then, get on with my day. Work, going to the gym, whatever. No problems. Sometimes there are days when I feel a little tired, depending on what I've been doing that day, how hard I've been working out, whatever the case may be. But it's nothing compared to 10 years of falling asleep everywhere, of thinking that I'm a narcoleptic. Living with that shit that I had to have the machine to go to sleep, to be able to wake up, and to be like a normal human being. And that is, to my knowledge, that is unheard of. I've never spoken to any specialist, to any dietist or nutritionist or any doctors, anything like that. Nobody's ever talked to me or told me that my sleep apnea could go away, or at least be better, if I had my diet in check. That's something to think about. That's fucking crazy. But I'm here. I'm living fucking proof that shit actually works. So, that's my story about sleep apnea and what the Carnivore has done for me. So I'll see you guys in the next episode.